Hi, this is Mrs. Daywald, and today I'm going to be doing a common PSSA word problem or story problem that students struggle with. Mrs. Jones is making cookie bags for a party. She wants to make sure that all the bags have the same number of cookies. She has 64 chocolate chip cookies and 108 oatmeal. What is the greatest number of bags she can make? How many cookies will be in each bag? So there's two parts to this question. I see two questions and I know that I have to answer two different things. Make sure you take note of that the first time you read it. How many questions do I have to answer? The second time I read the problem, which you always should read it twice before you dive into the problem, I'm going to be visualizing what's happening and trying to select a strategy to solve my problem. So right now I want you to reread it, and I want you to also select a strategy and find any key words. Press pause, reread it to yourself, and find the key words. So hopefully you were able to find the key words as same number and greatest number. Same number, greatest number, I'm thinking it's going to be a GCF problem. So my thought bubble says it's going to be GCF. And the GCF is going to tell me the number of bags. She's the greatest number of bags. GCF, greatest number of bags. Use the number sign. Okay. Now, how am I going to find the greatest common factor? I'm going to use the ladder method. I am a big fan of the ladder method, as you probably already know. So I have two numbers. I have 64, and 64 was my chocolate chip cookies. And I'm going to label that 64 as chocolate chip, and I had 108 oatmeal. And now, when I am doing the ladder method, I need to find a common factor. First thing I need is a common factor for 64. Press pause. Hopefully you wrote this on your own paper. Press pause and find a common factor. You're going to write the common factor on the outside. And they're both even, so I know that 64 and 108 are both divisible by. Remember, divisible by means divisible by. They're both divisible by 2. So 64 divided by 2, you will probably have a calculator for this type of problem, is 32. And 108, go ahead and use your calculator, divided by 2 is 54. I'm hoping that you're doing this with me, even doing it before I do it, and then you can check your work. So I need to find another factor. Is there another common factor for 32 and 54? Well, they're both even. So 2 will work once again. 32 divided by 2 is 16. And 54 divided by 2, you may need a calculator for, so go ahead and put it in the calculator. Hopefully you got 27. Is there another one? I don't know. I always tell my students, when in doubt, check 3. 3 will trick you. 3 likes to trick you. So make sure that you check 3 every time. Is 3. So if you're not sure, 16 divided by 3 in the calculator. It's not divisible by because divisible by means dividable by without a decimal. And when I divide that, I get a decimal. 27 divided by 3, it doesn't even matter if it works because 16 didn't work. I know that 4 is also a factor of 16 because 4 times 4 equals 16, but 4 is not a factor of 27. So I am finished here. I cannot do anything else that I can think of. 9 would work for 27, but wouldn't work for 16. But try a bunch of combinations in your calculator. Try dividing both the numbers by the same number. So now I have my big G on the outside. If you notice, I made a G. So 2 and 2, but remember, I am finding the GCF, and it's factors, and factors means I'm multiplying. So I need to take those two numbers on the outside and multiply them, and the GCF is going to equal 4. So that means the greatest number of bags that I could have would be 4 bags. And all I have to do now, that's my answer. 4 bags is the greatest number of bags, and if it's an open-ended, you probably want to show your work on one side and explain it on the other. Greatest number of bags, that's what you want to write. And the ladder method also will tell me how many chocolate chip and how many oatmeal cookies she would have in each one. So 16 chocolate chip, my pen is very slow today, and 27 oatmeal in each of the 4 bags. And remember, if you're doing an open-ended, you have to explain. Sorry that my pen is not cooperating, but you have to explain your work. I like you to show and explain, even if the PSSA says to just explain. If you show on one side and then explain on the other side, it's never a bad idea. Sometimes I can tell if you know it, even if you wrote no words, but then if you also wrote the words and followed the directions, I understand that you really understood this problem. Great luck on those PSSA tests and keep working hard.